Welcome back today. In this video, we'll be diving into the fascinating world of British numismatics and uncovering the top 8 most valuable United Kingdom sixpence coins from a selection of years between 1948 and 1963. The sixpence, often nicknamed the Tanner, was a beloved coin in circulation for centuries, and the post-war years brought us some particularly interesting and collectible issues. Condition, mint marks, and historical context all play a massive role in their value. So let's break down each of these remarkable coins and see what makes them stand out in the world of collectors. Let's get started. First up, the United Kingdom sixpence coin from 1949, specifically in fine condition. While many collectors often overlook coins from the mid-20th century, certain sixpences from this period hold remarkable value and historical significance. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the 1949 sixpence has earned a place on the radar of numismatists and how its rarity and condition influence its price at auction in US dollars. The sixpence was an iconic British coin that had been in circulation since the reign of Edward VI in the 16th century. By 1949, the coin had already undergone centuries of change in both design and composition. This particular issue was struck under the reign of King George VI, who served as monarch from 1936 until 1952. Following the end of World War II, Britain was going through a period of economic recovery, and coins like the sixpence remained a vital part of daily transactions. The 1949 sixpence was minted in cupronickel, as the United Kingdom had already moved away from silver coinage due to rising costs. Despite this change in metal, the sixpence maintained its popularity and remained a cornerstone of everyday British currency until it was eventually withdrawn in 1980. Well after decimalisation in 1971, the 1949 sixpence features the crowned monogram of King George VI, incorporating the letters G and R with the Roman numeral 6, topped with a Tudor crown. On the reverse, the coin showcases a charming botanical design consisting of a Tudor rose, a thistle, a shamrock, and an oak sprig. These national emblems symbolize England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, uniting the nations of the United Kingdom. This intricate floral design makes the coin not only historically significant but also aesthetically appealing. Measuring 19.41 mm in diameter and weighing about 2.83 grams, the coin is compact, but its fine details demonstrate the craftsmanship of the Royal Mint during that era. When assessing the rarity of the 1949 sixpence, it's important to understand that while millions were minted for circulation, finding examples in high grade or even fine condition is much less common today. Many of these coins were heavily used in daily commerce, resulting in worn surfaces, scratches, and other damage. Even in damaged condition, there is still collector demand, particularly from enthusiasts who aim to complete date runs of sixpence coins. A coin with visible wear, nicks, or discoloration might not command top dollar, but it still holds historical and numismatic interest. In fact, damaged coins can serve as affordable entry points for new collectors, keeping the market for these pieces surprisingly active. So, what can a collector expect to pay for a 1949 sixpence today? In fine condition, these coins generally fetch around $425,000 at auction or through coin dealers, depending on the clarity of the design and overall eye appeal. Coins in extremely fine or uncirculated condition can achieve higher prices, often reaching $122,000 or more, especially if the coin has been preserved with minimal handling. Interestingly, even coins in damaged or heavily circulated states can still sell for a couple of dollars, as they maintain value to beginner collectors or those completing series sets. While the 1949 sixpence may not be among the rarest British coins, its historical connection to the post-war period and its distinctive design keep demand steady in the international coin market. For those interested in collecting the 1949 sixpence, there are a few key tips to keep in mind. First, always pay attention to condition. The sharper the details, the more valuable the coin. Look out for examples with minimal scratches, strong definition in the crown and floral motifs, and good luster, as these stand out at auctions. Second, purchasing coins from reputable dealers or certified auction houses ensures authenticity, which is particularly important since some worn examples can be difficult to identify. Third, consider the long-term investment potential. While the 1949 sixpence might not currently command sky-high prices, demand for mid-20th century British coins has been increasing steadily, especially as younger collectors become more interested in pre-decimal coinage. Finally, if you come across a damaged coin at a low price, Don't dismiss it, it can still hold collector appeal and help fill a gap in your collection while you search for a higher grade example. The 1949 United Kingdom sixpence may not be the most valuable coin in the world, but its blend of history, design, and collectability makes it a fascinating piece of numismatic heritage. From its post-war origins under King George VI to its enduring appeal in today's collector market, this coin tells a story that extends beyond its face value. In fine condition, it holds modest but reliable worth, typically between $5 and $10, while better preserved examples can bring even more at auction. For collectors, the 1949 sixpence is not just a small coin, it's a tangible link to Britain's past and a worthy addition to any serious coin collection. So, whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just beginning your collecting journey, this little sixpence is a coin worth keeping an eye on. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence from 1960. This small silver-colored coin might not look like much at first glance, but it carries with it a wealth of history, charm, and collector intrigue. We'll cover its background, unique design elements, how rare it is in today's market, what collectors are paying for it in fine condition and even in damaged form, and finally, some important tips if you're thinking about adding this coin to your collection. The sixpence coin, often simply called a sixpence or affectionately a tanner, was a staple in British currency for centuries. By 1960, the coin had already been in circulation for hundreds of years, dating back to the reign of Edward VI in the 16th century. The 1960 version, however, comes from a transitional period in British coinage. While older sixpences were made of silver, those struck from 1947 onward, including the 1960 issue, were made of cupronickel, a blend of copper and nickel. This change reflected Britain's post-war economy and the rising costs of precious metals. The 1960 sixpence bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, who had only recently ascended the throne in 1952. At this point in history, the United Kingdom was still adjusting to the modern era, and coins like the sixpence were part of everyday life. They played a role not just in commerce, but in culture and tradition as well, for example, being placed in wedding shoes for luck or used in Christmas puddings. The 1960 sixpence stands out for its distinct design. On the obverse side, you'll find the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Mary Gillick. This effigy is known for its simple elegance, with the Queen wearing a laurel wreath, symbolizing victory and continuity. Unlike later, more formal portraits, this one captures the optimism of a young monarch at the start of her reign. On the reverse side, the coin displays a beautiful botanical design by engraver William Gardner. It features a Tudor rose in the center, surrounded by a thistle, shamrock, and leek symbols of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales respectively. This emblematic design represents the unity of the United Kingdom, making the coin not just a piece of money but also a miniature work of art. The denomination, sixpence, and the date 1960 are inscribed clearly around the design. When it comes to rarity, the 1960 sixpence is not considered extremely scarce compared to some earlier sixpences or era coins. Millions were minted for circulation, meaning that plenty of examples still exist today. However, condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. While damaged or heavily circulated coins from 1960 are fairly easy to find, their value is often minimal, serving more as a nostalgic keepsake than a valuable collectible. That being said, there is still a market for these coins, even in damaged condition. Many new collectors, or those assembling year-specific collections such as birth-year coin sets, often seek out coins like the 1960 sixpence regardless of condition. This demand ensures that even worn or scratched pieces can still sell, albeit for a lower price. Now, let's talk about what really interests collectors and investors: the market value. A 1960 United Kingdom sixpence in fine condition typically sells for around $534,000. Coins in extremely fine or uncirculated condition can bring in more, often reaching $417,000 at online auctions or coin shows. In particularly high grades, such as mint state with little to no signs of wear, the value can go up even further, with some examples fetching $216,000 from dedicated collectors. For damaged or heavily circulated coins, the value drops significantly, often only around 50 cents to $114,000, but they still attract casual buyers. The price ultimately depends on condition, rarity in high grade, and collector interest in building sets of Elizabeth II coinage. While not a high-value rarity, The coin's affordable price actually makes it attractive for beginners entering the hobby. If you're interested in collecting the 1960 sixpence, here are a few tips. First, always look for the best condition you can afford. A fine or very fine coin may be common, but higher grade examples stand out and hold their value better over time. Second, pay attention to authenticity. Counterfeit sixpences are rare, but it's still wise to buy from reputable dealers or trusted auction platforms. Third, consider collecting the sixpence as part of a broader series. Many collectors enjoy building complete sets of Queen Elizabeth II pre-decimal coins, and the 1960 issue is a must-have for such collections. Finally, store your coin properly. Use a coin flip or holder to protect it from scratches, moisture, and environmental damage, as even small marks can affect value. The 1960 United Kingdom sixpence may not be the rarest or most expensive coin on the market, but it holds a special place in British history and culture. Its elegant design, connection to Queen Elizabeth II's early reign, and enduring symbolism of the United Kingdom make it a popular and cherished collectible. Whether you find one in fine condition or stumble upon a heavily circulated example, this coin remains a delightful piece of numismatic history that's both affordable and rewarding to own. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence coin from the year 1954. While at first glance this small silver-colored coin might seem like just another piece of mid-20th century currency, its historical context, unique features, and market value make it a point of interest for serious collectors. We'll uncover its background, examine its rarity, and look at how it performs at auctions, especially in circulated condition. By the end, you'll have a clearer idea of just how much this coin can be worth in today's market, and whether it deserves a place in your collection. The sixpence coin, often referred to simply as the tanner, had a long and cherished place in British currency. Introduced in the 16th century under Edward VI, the coin remained in circulation for hundreds of years until decimalisation in 1971. By 1954, the United Kingdom was still issuing sixpence coins under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, who had only recently ascended to the throne in 1952. This makes the 1954 issue one of the early Elizabethan sixpences, connecting it to an important transitional period in British history. Post-World War II Britain was undergoing economic recovery, and coinage production reflected the nation's gradual return to stability. The sixpence itself was widely used for everyday transactions small enough to be practical, yet still carrying cultural significance in traditions like weddings, where sixpence was placed in the bride's shoe for good luck. The 1954 sixpence carries distinct design elements that set it apart from earlier and later issues. On the obverse side, it features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick, showing the Queen uncrowned, a fresh and modern representation compared to the more formal images of her predecessors. This particular portrait became iconic in the early years of her reign. The reverse side, designed by engraver Thomas Humphrey Paget, showcases a crowned Tudor rose flanked by a thistle, a shamrock, and elite symbols of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. The legend around the coin includes the denomination and the date 1954, making it straightforward but distinctly British in its national symbolism. Struck in cupronickel rather than silver, as had been the case before 1947, the coin reflects the post-war shift to more affordable metals. Its milled edge provided both an anti-clipping feature and a pleasing tactile quality for those who handled it daily. When it comes to rarity, the 1954 sixpence is not among the scarcest British coins, since millions were minted for circulation. However, its appeal lies in its connection to the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Coins from this era attract steady collector interest, particularly those in high grades. 4 circulated examples, including coins that show moderate wear or even damage such as scratches, edge knocks, or discoloration, collector demand is still present but more subdued. These worn examples are often seen as entry-level acquisitions for beginner collectors who want a tangible piece of mid-20th century British history without paying premium prices. The sentimental value also plays a role. Some collectors seek 1950s coins to commemorate personal or family milestones, adding a layer of demand even for damaged pieces. So, what can you expect a 1954 sixpence in circulated condition to fetch today? The market value depends heavily on condition, but most circulated examples sell in the range of $521,000. Coins with heavy wear or visible damage often fall at the lower end of that spectrum, sometimes barely above face value for collectors. However, pieces in slightly better preserved circulated states, with visible details on both sides, may achieve closer to the higher end. At auction, prices occasionally climb if the coin is sold as part of a bulk lot or a themed collection, but it's unusual to see a single damaged or heavily circulated 1954 sixpence reach more than a few dollars. Uncirculated or proof-like examples, by contrast, can command significantly higher premiums, sometimes selling $413,000 or more, but those are outside our focus today. If you're interested in adding a 1954 sixpence to your collection, there are a few smart strategies to keep in mind. First, when buying circulated examples, always check the clarity of the Queen's portrait and the floral emblems on the reverse. These are the areas where detail fades most quickly. A coin with sharper design elements, even if circulated, will hold more value in the long run. Second, try to source coins from reputable dealers or well-reviewed online marketplaces to avoid counterfeits, which, though uncommon for this particular coin, do exist for vintage British currency. Third, consider building a date run of Elizabeth II sixpence coins from the 1950s and 1960s. This not only provides a satisfying theme but also allows you to compare condition and rarity across years. Lastly, don't underestimate the appeal of damaged or lower-grade coins. For newer collectors, these provide affordable starting points while still offering historical charm. The United Kingdom's sixpence of 1954 may not be the rarest coin in British numismatic history, but it carries significance as an early Elizabeth II issue and as a cultural relic of post-war Britain. Its charming design, historical connections, and accessibility make it a favourite among both beginner and seasoned collectors. While heavily circulated or damaged examples may only bring a couple of dollars on the market, they still hold sentimental and educational value. For collectors, owning such a coin isn't just about financial worth, it's about holding a piece of history in your hand. Whether you're starting a British coin collection or simply intrigued by the story behind a small piece of metal, the 1954 sixpence remains a coin worth knowing. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence from 1956, examined in circulated fine condition. This coin is more than just a small piece of silver-colored metal. It carries with it layers of history, cultural value, and collector interest. In this video, we'll explore its origins, what makes it unique, how rare it is in today's market, what values it tends to fetch in dollars, and some helpful tips for anyone considering adding this coin to their collection. So, let's get started on this journey into mid-20th century British coinage. The sixpence coin had been part of British currency since the 16th century and was a well-loved denomination until decimalisation in 1971. By 1956, the sixpence was already centuries into its history and had become an everyday coin that people used for small purchases, as well as a symbol of good luck in British tradition. The 1956 sixpence was struck during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, who had just ascended to the throne in 1952. This means the coin is among the early issues bearing her youthful portrait, designed by sculptor Mary Gillick. These early Elizabeth II coins hold a special place for collectors, as they represent the beginning of a new monarch's coinage series, blending old traditions with the new era of post-war Britain. The 1956 sixpence features on its obverse the first official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, bareheaded and youthful, symbolizing renewal and continuity for the monarchy. On the reverse, you'll find a crowned Tudor rose at the centre, flanked by a thistle, shamrock, and leek, representing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales respectively. The design is clean yet intricate, celebrating the unity of the United Kingdom. The edge of the coin is milled, and its composition is cupro-nickel, as silver had been removed from sixpence coins starting in 1947. Its diameter is 19.41 millimeters, and it weighs about 2.83 grams, making it small and lightweight, yet highly symbolic in design. These details give the coin both historical and aesthetic charm. Now, when we talk about the 1956 sixpence, it's important to note that this is not one of the rarest dates in the series. Millions of them were minted for circulation, and as such, they are relatively common in lower grades. However, demand still exists because collectors often want to assemble complete date runs of Elizabeth II sixpence coins. Even in damaged or heavily circulated condition, there is a niche market. Coins with scratches, discoloration, or heavy wear may not appeal to high-end investors, but they do attract beginning collectors or those simply interested in owning a piece of mid-century British currency. Furthermore, some collectors appreciate pocket history coins that show real circulation, as it connects them to the hands of everyday people in the 1950s. So, how much is a 1956 sixpence worth today in circulated fine condition? In general, this coin is valued modestly because of its high mintage and lack of precious metal content. In fine circulated condition, its value usually ranges between $221,000 in most numismatic marketplaces. If the coin shows more wear, perhaps with dents or damage, the price can drop closer to the lower end. On the other hand, nicer examples, especially in higher uncirculated grades, can sell for $10 or more. Auction houses and online bidding sites sometimes see bulk sales of these coins, where multiple sixpences from the 1950s are sold together. So while it's not a coin that will fetch hundreds, it still holds collectible appeal and a steady place in the market. If you're interested in collecting the 1956 sixpence, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, condition matters greatly. While circulated coins are affordable, try to aim for the highest quality within your budget, as coins in very fine or uncirculated grades will always hold more value. Second, keep an eye out for errors or unusual varieties. Although none are widely documented for the 1956 sixpence, occasional striking imperfections can make a coin more desirable. Third, storage is important. Make sure to keep your coin in a protective holder to avoid further wear or tarnish. Finally, if you're building a collection of Elizabeth II sixpences, the 1956 piece is a nice early-date coin that pairs well with its surrounding years. Completing a date set can be a rewarding and affordable project for both beginner and intermediate collectors. In summary, the 1956 United Kingdom sixpence in circulated fine condition may not be the rarest or most expensive coin in the world, but it carries significant historical and collector value. With its early Elizabeth II portrait, symbolic design, and role as part of Britain's long sixpence tradition, it offers a tangible link to the mid-20th century. Its market value, typically ranging from under $1 to a couple of dollars in fine condition, makes it accessible to nearly anyone who wants to start or expand a coin collection. Whether you're chasing every date in the series or simply want a coin that reflects both heritage and affordability, the 1956 sixpence deserves its place in your collection. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence coin from the year 1963, specifically one that has fallen into a rusty or damaged condition. While most people might dismiss a corroded coin as having little to no value, the truth is that even coins in worn or imperfect states carry historical significance and can still attract the attention of collectors. We'll explore its background, its unique features, its rarity in the numismatic world, and its current market value in US dollars. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, this breakdown will give you a complete picture of the 1963 sixpence. The sixpence coin, often simply called a tanner, was a beloved denomination in British currency for centuries. The 1963 issue came out during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, just over a decade after she ascended the throne in 1952. At that time, the sixpence was worth 1/40th of a pound sterling, serving as a small but essential coin in everyday transactions. By the early 1960s, the coinage system was still operating under pre-decimal standards, which would eventually change in 1971 with decimalization. The 1963 sixpence was minted in large quantities, as it was still in heavy circulation. It was struck from cupronickel, a durable alloy of copper and nickel that had replaced silver in 1947. This change was made due to the rising cost of silver after World War II, and it meant that coins like the 1963 sixpence were more resistant to wear but still vulnerable to rust and corrosion if improperly stored. The obverse of the 1963 sixpence features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. Unlike later portraits, this early design presents the Queen with a laurel wreath in her hair, symbolizing a fresh and hopeful beginning for her reign. The inscription around the edge reads Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina F laughing smiley : which translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. On the reverse side, designed by William Gardner, is a striking floral motif. This includes the English rose, the Scottish thistle, the Irish shamrock, and the Welsh leek, all intertwined to represent the unity of the four nations within the United Kingdom. Below this elegant design, the denomination sixpence and the year 1963 are inscribed. Together, these elements make the coin a small but meaningful symbol of both monarchy and national identity. In terms of rarity, The 1963 sixpence is not considered scarce in higher grades, as millions were minted. However, collectors often look for pristine examples in uncirculated or proof-like condition. When it comes to rusty, corroded, or otherwise damaged coins, the demand naturally decreases. Rust can obscure the design details and diminish the coin's appeal to serious numismatists. That said, there is still a niche market for coins in poor condition. Beginner collectors, educational institutions, and history enthusiasts sometimes seek out damaged coins because they are affordable entry points into the hobby. A rusty 1963 sixpence might not be a showpiece in a high-end collection, but it still holds value as a tangible piece of mid-20th century British history. Its demand is generally modest, but it is never entirely without buyers. When we look at the auction market, values for a 1963 sixpence in fine or uncirculated condition can range anywhere from $325,000, with particularly well-preserved examples sometimes reaching higher. However, for coins in rusty or heavily damaged condition, the value drops significantly. Typically, a corroded 1963 sixpence will fetch between $214,000 in the US market. In some cases, bulk lots of damaged sixpence coins may be sold to collectors or hobbyists for even less per coin. It's worth noting that sentimental or historical appeal can sometimes push the price slightly higher if the coin is part of a larger collection or holds a personal story. But as a general rule, rusty sixpence coins from 1963 remain affordable and accessible for entry-level collectors. If you're considering collecting sixpence coins, even in damaged condition, here are a few tips to keep in mind. First, always store your coins in a dry, climate-controlled environment to prevent further corrosion. Even if a coin is already rusty, stabilizing its condition will help preserve it for the future. Second, when buying rusty or damaged coins, focus on legibility. If the date and main design elements are still visible, the coin retains more historical and collector interest. Third, try to view damaged coins as stepping stones. They allow you to build a collection affordably and gain experience in grading and identification before moving on to higher value examples. Finally, always research auction results and dealer listings to avoid overpaying for coins in poor condition. The 1963 United Kingdom sixpence may not be among the rarest or most valuable coins on the market, but it still carries a story worth appreciating. From its rich design showcasing the four nations of the UK to its place in the reign of a young Queen Elizabeth II, this coin remains a small but significant historical artifact. Even in rusty or damaged condition, it continues to have a modest market value and a certain charm for collectors. For those just beginning their numismatic journey, a coin like the 1963 sixpence offers an affordable and educational entry point into the fascinating world of British coinage. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence coin from 1948, specifically in circulated condition. While many collectors often focus on pristine or uncirculated examples, circulated coins carry their own charm, historical significance, and market dynamics. In this video, we'll explore the history, unique design, rarity in damaged or circulated condition, the current auction values in dollars, and some useful tips for collectors who might come across this coin in their collection or at a market. The sixpence coin, often affectionately called the tanner, was an integral part of British currency for centuries, circulating from the 16th century until decimalisation in 1971. The 1948 issue is especially interesting because it comes just after the Second World War, during a time when Britain was rebuilding its economy and society. At this point, the coin was struck under the reign of King George VI, who was the father of Queen Elizabeth II. The coin's production in 1948 reflected not only the continued importance of the sixpence in everyday life but also the economic realities of post-war Britain. This era was marked by rationing, austerity, and significant shifts in coin production, making the sixpence from this period a fascinating historical artifact. The 1948 sixpence is made of cupronickel, having transitioned from the silver alloy used in earlier years. This change was introduced in 1947, meaning the 1948 issue was among the very first all-cupronickel sixpence coins. On the obverse, you'll find the portrait of King George VI, designed by Thomas Humphrey Paget, showing the king facing left with the inscription Georgiev 6D-G-B-R-O-M-N-R-E-X. On the reverse, the design features a crowned monogram GRI, which stands for Georgius Rex Imperator, flanked by a Tudor rose, a thistle, a shamrock, and elite symbols of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. This detail reflects the unity of the United Kingdom. The coin's diameter is 19.41 millimeters, and it weighs approximately 2.83 grams. These features make the 1948 sixpence a distinctive example of mid-20th century British coinage. Now, let's talk about rarity and collector demand. The 1948 sixpence is not considered one of the rarest issues, as millions were minted for circulation. However, when we discuss rarity in the context of condition, things change. Circulated or damaged coins are far more common than uncirculated ones, but they appeal to collectors differently. Most collectors seek higher-grade coins for their albums, so heavily circulated examples may not command high premiums. Still, damaged or well-worn coins carry a story they passed through countless hands in a time when Britain was recovering from war. That historical connection gives them sentimental and collector value, even if not financial rarity. For budget collectors or beginners, circulated coins offer a chance to own a piece of history without breaking the bank. So, what is the market value of a 1948 sixpence in circulated condition? Typically, circulated examples sell for modest amounts, usually around $331,000, depending on the level of wear and general eye appeal. If a coin shows heavy damage, rust, or corrosion, it might only be worth its metal content or a few cents to casual buyers. However, coins in better circulated grades, those with visible details and less wear, can fetch closer to $2 or slightly more at auctions or collector markets. High-grade or uncirculated versions, for comparison, can sometimes reach $221,000 or higher, but in the context of circulated pieces, the value generally remains on the lower end of the spectrum. That said, certain collectors may pay a premium if the coin is part of a bulk lot or comes with other mid-20th century British coins. If you're interested in collecting 1948 sixpence coins, here are some helpful tips. First, always pay attention to condition. Even in circulated form, coins with strong detail, minimal scratches, and original luster will hold more appeal. Second, consider building a typeset. Collecting sixpence coins from different monarchs or key historical years can make even common dates like 1948 more interesting. Third, keep an eye out for bulk coin lots at flea markets, estate sales, or online auctions. Often, 1940s sixpence coins show up in these settings, and you can acquire them at a bargain. Finally, store your coins properly. Even circulated coins should be kept in protective holders or albums to prevent further damage, ensuring they remain attractive to future collectors. In conclusion, the 1948 United Kingdom sixpence in circulated condition may not be a high-value rarity, but it represents an important chapter in British coinage. With its post-war history, distinctive design, and affordability, it's a great entry point for new collectors and a nostalgic piece for those who appreciate mid-century numismatics. While its market value in dollars ranges from under $1 to a couple of dollars in circulated condition, its true worth lies in the history it carries. Whether you're just starting your collection or expanding your knowledge of British coins, the 1948 sixpence is a coin well worth exploring. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence from 1957. This small silver-colored coin holds an important place in British numismatic history and is especially interesting when found in fine condition. We'll explore its background, unique features, rarity, and how much it's actually worth in the auction market today, expressed in US dollars. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just curious about coins from the past, this video will give you all the details you need to know. The 1957 sixpence coin belongs to the pre-decimal British currency system, which remained in use until 1971. During this period, 12 pence made a shilling, and 20 shillings made a pound. The sixpence was exactly half a shilling and was a popular denomination for everyday transactions. By 1957, the coin no longer contained silver. Instead, it was minted from cupronickel, a blend of copper and nickel, due to the rising cost of precious metals after World War II. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, who had ascended to the throne only a few years earlier in 1952. This early portrait of the young Queen is one of the reasons collectors appreciate the coin's historical charm. The 1957 sixpence stands out for its design and symbolism. On the reverse side, the coin displays a beautiful arrangement of floral emblems representing the four nations of the United Kingdom: the English rose, the Scottish thistle, the Irish shamrock, and the Welsh leek. This design, created by the artist heraldic George Kruger Gray, reflects unity and national pride. The obverse bears the first official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Mary Gillick, which is particularly admired for its youthful and elegant depiction of the monarch. Its diameter measures 19.41 millimeters and weighs about 2.83 grams, making it a small but significant coin. Although the 1957 sixpence was minted in large quantities, most examples you'll find today are heavily worn or damaged from years of circulation. While it is not considered rare in general, finding a coin in fine or better condition can be challenging because cupronickel tends to discolor or corrode over time. Even coins with tarnish, scratches, or small nicks are still collected, especially by beginners looking to complete year sets from the 1950s. Because of this, even damaged specimens can still draw interest at auctions or online marketplaces, though they command a lower price than pristine examples. Now let's talk about what everyone wants to know: how much is a 1957 sixpence worth today? In fine condition, this coin typically sells for around $532,000 in the general collector market. If the coin is in very fine or extremely fine condition, prices can rise to about $116,000. Uncirculated or mint state examples with sharp details and full luster can fetch anywhere from $314,000 at auctions. Damaged or heavily worn coins may only bring in a few cents, but they still have a place for collectors seeking affordable historical pieces. If you're interested in collecting 1957 sixpence coins, here are a few tips. First, always check the condition carefully under good lighting. Fine details on the Queen's portrait and the reverse floral emblems increase value. Second, store your coins properly to prevent further corrosion or tarnish. Using acid-free holders or coin capsules is a great way to protect them. Third, look for bulk lots on online marketplaces like eBay, where you might find multiple sixpences at bargain prices, sometimes including higher-grade coins. And finally, keep an eye on numismatic auctions, as rare high-grade examples can sometimes slip under the radar and sell for less than their true value. The 1957 sixpence may not be the rarest coin in British history, but it holds an undeniable charm for collectors of pre-decimal currency. With its historical significance, attractive design, and affordable price, it's a great entry point for anyone interested in British coins. Whether you own one already or are planning to add one to your collection, understanding its background and current value will help you appreciate this small yet significant piece of numismatic history. Next up, the United Kingdom's sixpence coin from 1953 in very fine condition. This small silver-toned coin might seem ordinary at first glance, but it carries an important place in British history and continues to draw the attention of coin collectors across the globe. From its background and unique design to its rarity and market value in today's auctions, we'll uncover everything you need to know about this remarkable piece of currency. The year 1953 was a significant one for the United Kingdom, marking the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. This sixpence coin was among the very first issues released under her reign, making it historically important for both collectors and historians. The sixpence itself has a long tradition dating back to the 16th century during the reign of Edward VI, and by 1953 it was still a popular denomination in everyday commerce. Though it was eventually phased out with decimalization in 1971, the 1953 issue stands out because it reflects both a fresh monarch on the throne and the continuation of centuries of British coinage tradition. The 1953 sixpence is instantly recognizable thanks to its detailed design. On the obverse, it features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by sculptor Mary Gillick. This image is iconic because it was the very first official portrait of Her Majesty used on British coinage, symbolizing a new era for the nation. The reverse displays a Tudor rose flanked by a thistle, shamrock, and leeked traditional symbols of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales beautifully entwined to represent unity within the United Kingdom. Struck in cupronickel rather than silver, as earlier issues had been, the coin measures 19.4 millimeters in diameter and weighs about 2.8 grams. Its durability and the clarity of its design make it a favorite for collectors seeking coins in well-preserved condition. While the 1953 sixpence is not considered extremely rare compared to some earlier pre-decimal issues, it is still highly sought after because of its connection to the Queen's coronation year. Collectors show particular interest in examples graded very fine or better, where the details of the portrait and floral design remain sharp. However, even coins in damaged or heavily worn condition attract demand. This is because coronation year coins carry strong sentimental value, and many hobbyists aim to build sets that include every denomination from 1953. For this reason, even a scratched, tarnished, or corroded sixpence may still find buyers, though the price will naturally be lower than coins in higher grades. When it comes to value, condition is everything. A 1953 sixpence in very fine condition generally sells in the range of $536,000 on the collector market. Higher graded coins, such as those in extremely fine or uncirculated states, can fetch between $321,000, depending on the auction and the demand at the time. On the other hand, heavily damaged or corroded examples may only sell for around $126,000, often being picked up by beginners looking to start their collections. At larger coin auctions, a set of 1953 coronation coins, including the sixpence, can significantly increase in value, sometimes reaching well over $214,000, depending on completeness and quality. If you're considering adding the 1953 sixpence to your collection, there are a few important tips to keep in mind. First, always pay attention to condition. Even small scratches or loss of detail can impact the coin's value. When possible, look for examples graded very fine or better, as these hold long-term investment potential. Second, consider collecting the entire 1953 coronation set, as having all the denominations together increases both historical interest and market value. Third, be cautious of cleaning coins. While it might seem like a good idea to polish them, cleaning can actually reduce their value significantly. Finally, always source coins from reputable dealers or well-known auctions to avoid counterfeits or misattributed pieces. The United Kingdom sixpence of 1953 is more than just a small cupronical coin. It is a symbol of a nation's transition into a new royal era under Queen Elizabeth II. Its charming design, historic significance, and relatively affordable price make it an accessible entry point for beginner collectors while still offering appeal for seasoned numismatists. Whether you own one in very fine condition or even a worn example, this coin carries a story that connects you directly to a pivotal moment in British history. If you're passionate about building a meaningful collection, the 1953 sixpence is undoubtedly a piece worth pursuing. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more episodes on rare coins.